AM Impact on Your Health is sponsored by Dennis J. Courtney, MD, Director of the Courtney Medical Group, located at 3075 Washington Road in McMurray, Pennsylvania. For more information or to make an appointment, call 724-942-3002. That's 724-942-3002 for Dennis J. Courtney, MD.
Good morning, everybody. Good morning, everybody, and welcome to AM Impact on Your Health. AM Impact on Your Health, where every day our goal is to have you learn at least one thing to help you live better and longer. AM Impact on Your Health is heard each and every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday from 8 to 9 o'clock. I'm Dr. Dennis Courtney, and I'm with you each and every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday from 8 to 9. AM Impact on Your Health, where each day you'll find current medical news, knowledgeable guests, and fascinating health topics. And of course, where we do encourage you to call in to join in today. Well, as anticipated, we're now into our guests once again. It's been a week or so giving you some scientific information on cancer, and we did really open up a can of worms. We'll reopen up that can of worms frequently around here. We've got to really get that information out to you and allow you to settle in with the science and hopefully allow the science to guide the way. Today, let's see this. Most of us have tried crash dieting at one time or another in our lives. Nutritional expert Doug Ingoldby, our guest today, of All One, that's his supplement company, agreed that there's no question that calorie/daily diet will trigger a rapid drop in weight. Here's the caveat, however. Studies show that low-calorie diet comes with a cost, not only to our physical health, but to our mental health as well. So, the byline of our low-calorie diets making you crazy literally is meaning just that. We'll get with Doug Ingoldby after our first break today to talk about how it can be that low-calorie diets can affect your mental health in a detrimental fashion. We will have that for discussion today. Look, in the course of our discussions with Doug, if you want to call in to ask a question or to make a comment, that number will be 412-825-6262. That's 412-825-6262. Doug Ingoldby, our guest today. Then on Wednesday, Lonnie Birmingham, a first-timer, going to be here talking about heat. Things did cool down this weekend, did they not? It was gloomy. I didn't see rain where I live, did you? Supposedly it was around. Didn't hit me. But gloom is still out there, folks. Enjoy. It's supposed to lighten up by this afternoon. Hopefully you'll see the light not only this morning but this afternoon. Lonnie Birmingham will enlighten us on Wednesday with heat, the number one killer of all weather-related hazards. And we maybe can prepare for the next onslaught of heat, because right now we're relatively cool. On next Monday, 1 week from now, Roland Thomas will be back. We'll be talking about BAC, bioengineered algae concentrates, the brainchild of one Dr. Michael Kiriak, Soviet scientist who decorated by the Soviet government at the time for his inroads in, first of all, taking care of animal populations that weren't healthy, and then working with human populations after the famous 1986 Chernobyl accident. What resulted was the assurance that this kind of supplementation, use of algae, he picked 4. We'll talk about those 4 algae. The fact that they're grown in a portion of Siberia hydroponically in a controlled environment, yielding an organic supplement that heretofore has never been able to be developed before. It's available to you in the form of a product from a company called BioAge, and we'll have the CEO of BioAge, Roland Thomas, with us 1 week from today. Things are shaping up rather well, folks. I mentioned it again, MCG testing is back. We first started this, we kicked it off in February, and I told you then new technology was now available that would allow you to gain information about the status of your whole cardiovascular system, but in particular the coronary arteries. This is where a lot of time and effort is spent by the conventional medical community. They have places called cath labs that go 24 hours a day, and should there be an issue with your coronary arteries, I guarantee you, we will have those doors unlocked to the cath lab. Doesn't matter what time of day, 1, 2, 3 a.m., you will be there in a pretty threatening and potentially harmful situation, having a cath to find out what the status of the coronary arteries are. It can be done thanks to science, thanks to electronic wizardry, by a test called MCG. We're very happy to bring you that test. Many of you have taken us up on that offer in the past. You have had your first MCG test. As you know, it's a 6-minute test. You lie on a bed. You've got 2 clips around each of the wrists and 2 around each of the ankles, and 1 lead off the left side of the chest. With those in place, 6 minutes goes by. 5 different tests are conducted, 82 seconds apiece, and at the conclusion, the data of 166 data points which have been retrieved during this study is sent off to be compared by a database of over 42,000 patients who have had that MCG test. But guess what? They've also had one other thing. They actually have had a coronary artery catheterization, and the correlation between the MCG test and their level of disease can now be matched up to yours. We say that's a pretty nifty way to allow you to gain information about the status of your coronary arteries without ever having to put you in a position of such high risk with respect to the cath lab. Life-sparing as it can be, it's equally has the potential to cause some serious side effects, even death. So we don't want anyone to have to have a cath, but we'd like everyone to gain information about the status of those vessels so as to be able not to just know it and be scared to death because of it, but to be able to correct it. Isn't that, after all, what's supposed to be done? Pretty tough to do in the conventional world. We find it to be just passe around here. MCG testing resumes in my office on the 25th. The 25th is a full date. It's just a sort of a kickoff. I bring it to you, but there are openings in our September 8th encounter. So give us a call. Not for the 25th. That's filled. September 8th, and there'll be other dates in the future. Now, the APB is going out to 2 groups. Those who have had testing in the past and were told that the status of their disease warrants retesting at either 3 months or 6 months. Both of those are sort of calling the question on them. And then those of you out there who just like to maybe find out what the status of your coronary blood vessels are, to be able to change that status should it be necessary, and have your insurances paid for it in the process. Give us a call, 724-942-3002, to get you enrolled in the MCG testing, which now returns. The device has been procured. It will be here for quite some time in the future, and these retestings will happen at intervals much more brisk than it did in the past. Okay, and we'll be a couple weeks from now turning the page and moving into September. I know all the kids are getting ready to go back to school. Isn't it wonderful? Susan Smith-Jones, after the kiddies have been back on the 7th, Susan Smith-Jones returns talking about spices that heal. And then on the 16th, David Brownstein returns talking about salting your way to health. That's what's up and coming. Now, before we take that first break, just a little bit more on that cancer front. You know, last Wednesday and Friday, we came in with, 2 blockbuster titles talking about getting somebody's interest. We said on Wednesday that our topic was going to be, there's only one way to get cancer. And on Friday, we picked up on that and we said there was only one way to prevent it. And this is all reduced now to scientific information yielding and leading the way on, if you can't get the message here, let me just blurt it out, to allow you to control your destiny with respect to cancer. And I believe that most of us have believed that it was sort of like just a crapshoot. like as to whether we do or whether we don't, geez, who could ever step in and help prevent such a terrible and dastardly disease? Nonetheless, I believe we've stumbled on the real answers to the questions: how do you get it and how do you prevent it? To just repeat, Otto Warburg, who won the Nobel Prize for this very work in the around 1950 to 1960. I'm reading now. Otto Warburg discovered, then clearly and simply stated, that the prime cause of cancer is oxygen deprivation at the cellular level. We find, and this is his quote now, we find by experiment that about 35% inhibition of oxygen respiration already suffices to bring about such a transformation during cell growth. The transformation he's talking about, folks, is cancer. It's that simple. Just 1/3 less cellular oxygen than normal, and you contract cancer. So Warburg discovered that the prime cause of cancer is sustaining a 35% inhibition of cellular respiration. You drop the level of oxygen below this 35% threshold in a cell, and it is an automatic. You will get a cancer. And you will always get that cancer. It's a fact. It's a certainty. Now, on Friday, I came in with another component which is pretty much as revealing and as, if not as, even more interesting than the Warburg theory, which has never been proven wrong, by the way. But it goes something like this. The body requires special fats. Oh, yes, here we go. The body requires special fats, which, among other important functions, make it possible for, here it comes, folks, sufficient oxygen to reach the cells via the cell membrane, comprised of fats. Therefore, the cell membrane is the door to be unlocked to allow oxygen to gain entrance into the cell. So the sufficient oxygen, the fats that you consume make it possible for sufficient oxygen to reach the cell via the cell membrane, the key to cancer prevention. The special fats are highly oxygen-absorbing entities called essential fats. Now you can see the tie-in to so much of what we've recently been discussing here when we have emphasized this issue of, well, it all started out with fish oil, saying don't consume it. It can be hazardous, and it will be hazardous to your health. And then coming in with the information, scientific information by Yehuda, that we now know that you must have parent oils, LA to ALA, that's linoleic to alpha-linolenic, that's omega-6 to omega-3s in a ratio of 4:1. This is now setting the stage for this product we call 4:1 oil. There are two parent forms of EFAs, essential fatty acids, that allow your body to make whatever it needs from them. Little blurb here, supplemental essential fatty acid derivatives such as EPA and DHA are not required because the body makes them as needed in very small amounts. Now here's the punchline. Campbell et al. Found that LA, which is the parent omega-6, that is sunflower oil or primrose oil, can associate with oxygen and dissociate the oxygen at relatively high oxygen pressure in cell membranes. That is a key fact. These researchers also found that fatty acids, in particular LA, that's the omega-6, that is linoleic acid, and that is sunflower oil, affect the permeability of cell membranes to molecular oxygen by increasing cellular oxygenation by up to 50%, thus helping you remain cancer-free. Very powerful scientific statements. Hold me to the scientific threshold that you would like to. These are not statements just made by me. They are statements coming straight from the scientific literature. How wonderful is it to be able to know how to make sure you can control your destiny by doing nothing more than taking the appropriate supplemental fatty acids. Fantastic, folks. Fantastic. All right. Enough of that for now. We'll bring that back. Maybe on Friday we'll talk about it some more. Right now, let's take a short break. Are low-calorie diets driving you crazy? Who really knows when somebody's on a diet? They're a little jumpy, aren't they? Turns out there may be more going on than that. Doug Ingoldby will let us know what on our return. Be back in a moment with Doug.
This is Dennis J. Courtney, MD. Have you become confused about how best to manage your health? It's no wonder. It seems that every time you turn on the television or radio, another expert has yet another suggestion for you to follow that seems to be reasonable enough, but no matter how dutifully you follow the instruction, it just doesn't quite produce the results that you are looking for. If this confusion sounds familiar to you, give us a call at the Center for Complementary Health, where we'll make some sense of the confusion based on a blending of traditional and alternative medicine that we've been perfecting over the last 7 years. We offer metabolic nutrition testing, immune system repair, natural hormone replacement therapy, chelation therapy, cutting-edge allergy correction, and a host of other safe and effective alternative therapies.
Dennis J. Courtney, MD, is located at 3075 Washington Road in McMurray. Phone 724-942-3002.
Honey, just got the word. The company's new health plan has a $5,000 deductible. We have to make sure nobody gets sick this year. Remember what those doctor's visits cost for last year's colds and flu? Oh, sorry, I gotta go. Love you.
We can do this. We can cut the fast food lunches, soda. That's a lot of sugar. We could all take that evening walk. And hey, I heard a program about fruit. Fruit of the spirit. What did they say? 1 ounce, the equivalent of 5 servings of fruits with herbs and minerals. We could add some to our breakfast protein shake. Fruit of the Spirit's unique whole fruit puree. Fruit of the Spirit contains fresh fruits native to the Holy Land and alkalizing minerals from the Dead Sea. With no added sugars, Fruit of the Spirit's unique product from 5 years of work from science-based nutritional experts. Call 1-800-442-3793 for a special promotional offer. Fruit of the Spirit, a blessing for your good health. Fruit of the Spirit, convenient, affordable, and delicious. That's 1-800-442-3793. Call them now, 1-800-442-3793.
Hey, good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back once again to AM Impact on Your Health. Heard here in KHB 620 each and every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday from 8 to 9 o'clock. I'm Dr. Dennis Courtney with you on a Monday morning version of the show. Today, a good friend of ours continually comes back each and every year, a couple times a year, always bringing valuable information to help you, a consumer, a health-oriented consumer, take care of yourself better. Doug is the founder of All One Supplements, manufacturer of the world's first high-potency multiple vitamin, mineral, protein powder called All One. Ingoldby's family has been in the vitamin business since 1936. Doug's father, James, was responsible for creating the first high-potency vitamin C tablet and worked with nutritionist Adele Davis to create the first stress formula, many of the first multiple vitamin and mineral combinations, and then the first nutritional candy bar. You've heard it mentioned here many times, Tiger's Milk. Today, well, Doug's interested in how you're acting if you're on a low-cal diet. You know, people say, "This must be on a diet, it's acting crazy." Hey, there may be more to it than that. Let's find out about why you may be acting crazy on a low-cal diet by Doug Ingoldby himself. Doug, welcome back, my friend. Nice to have you with us today.
Good to be here.
You have preceded yourself with respect to the pedigree, Doug. The family, Doug, has been, so in 1936, there couldn't be more than 2 supplement companies back then. You were the one, huh? You're the one that worked.
There was actually 3. There was Schiff, Plus, and Thompson.
There were 3.
Yeah, and Schiff is still in existence. Plus kind of ended up selling off to the candy bar after my dad sold it years later, and it fell apart. And but there were 3 in those days. But he sold Plus in 1968, which was just prior to the real health food boom that we know the health food industry now. In other words, I think there was 500 health food stores sold. There was like 5,000 the next year. So the timing was a little off, but he was still one of the first guys out there, and a lot of the multiple supplements certainly wanted to attention to multiple contain vitamins traced back.
By the way, Doug, do me a favor. Speak right into the phone, because I hear you dropping off, and get plenty of emails from angry listeners saying, "I hear you screaming. I can't make hide nor hair with that guest saying." So please speak right up into it.
I'll do it.
All right, Doug. You have an interesting topic today, because each and every time you come back, you have an intriguing way of refreshing us with very important information that can help us in how we manage our own health. This issue of dieting is one that we all bear up under, I'm sure. And I've often heard people say, "Oh my God, she's acting so." Why is it she or he isn't really acting right? Must be on a diet. And it's a little coy phrases, but turns out your behaviors and how you may act may have more to do with some detrimental effects of these diets than heretofore ever really discussed. So bring us up to speed on how is it that we're starting to look at the mental issue with respect to diets from a physiological viewpoint. Why so? How so?
Well, it actually, the mainstream kind of caught a hold of it in the last couple of years. Dr. Shiraskin wrote a book called Psychodietetics back in 1972, I believe, which was 75. And that was a term that he had coined, psychodietetics. He made it up. There was no word at that point to talk about the relationship. And he did quite an extensive study on it. And part of this book is devoted to people that go on crash diets and how they basically, they lose weight, but they also lose their mind at the time. And his book is quite extensive into this, but since that point, Israel did a big study, not really a big sampling, it was like 10 people, but they took basically healthy people and cut their caloric content back, and within a very short period of time, a month or so, they started exhibiting irritability, aggressiveness, short tempers, that type of thing. And then University of Minnesota has done a study, a little bit more extensive in terms of the sampling of people, and the Mayo Clinic has just took 36 really emotionally well-stable people and cut their calorie content back, and the doctor's comment was, "I created a group of neurotics." And so it's something that's been looked at years ago, but now it's finally, we're really paying attention to it. And that's a risk that someone takes once they cut their calories back and try to do it.
I never realized. I mean, the book, I've certainly heard of it. I never really read it. Do you mean that's what the psychodietetics is all about? That was what Shiraskin?
Yeah, Shiraskin, Arlene
Brecker,
a friend of yours, friend of your show.
Sure.
She wrote with him, and Marshall Ringsdorf, who was associate down at the University of Alabama, were the authors of that book. And it was really kind of groundbreaking at the time, and it used to say that imitation was the highest form of flattery, because it was a very short period of time that the Sugar Blues came out, and Jeffrey Bland had a book, I can't remember the name of it, but it was very similar to the discussion of food. When we think about food, we think about diet, we think about nutrition, we tend to think about the physical body. In other words, people know that you have vitamins, acids, antioxidants in order to function well physically. But, your brain and your nervous system are part of the physical makeup of your body, and they get just as affected by the lack of nutrients as part of the body.
Now, let me ask you this. And Arlene is close to the friend as she was to me, and I recall her talking about the work done with psychodietetics, but she never got into it any further than that. It was maybe too distant in the past to keep dredging it up. But how, if he and she were first to, I guess, identified this phenomenon of people literally acting funny when they were on a diet. What did they envision as the cause for that? And as time has now evolved, it's many years later, and I'm sure there's more scientific data to either confirm or reject their original thesis on why you should be acting crazy. How is it that science has advanced to bring us to the point where there may be even a better explanation? Now, it's a long question, but it will have a long answer, I'm sure.
Well, it is. It has to do with the fact that when people usually, when they go on a diet, they count calories. That's very classic. It's some diets by different calorie counting. Just has calories, and people try to cut under like a 1,500 a day. Go under 1,500 a day in calories in order to start weight. You read a nutritional label, you go into a store, and you're looking at a supplement label or you're looking at a food label. The phrase always shows the percentage of vitamin, that mineral, that type of thing. It always says, again, based on a 2,000 calorie a day diet. So the government basically saying we should all be about 2,000 calories. And so if you're going to really try to start losing some weight, you're going to have to cut into the calorie amount. This is done by portion control, by the types of food. And what's happened, I think, and this is really, and I watched it evolve, because I was actually fortunate enough to know Dr. Scott quite well. He used to always talk about sugar and the detrimental effect of a hollow calorie. It comes to sugar. But since that point in time, we now have high fructose corn syrup. And I think, and I bet it could be traced back, that he became really open since with the advent of that particular taking over as the most popular.
High fructose corn syrup.
High fructose corn syrup. For some reason, sugar, it will convert into an energy calorie. And if you have a high metabolism and that type of thing, you can kind of burn through it. It's not good for your body because sugar needs vitamins to make that conversion. If it's coming in, if the vitamins and minerals are coming in with the sugar, like a natural sugar, like if you're eating a piece of fruit, then you're okay because vitamins are there along with the sugar. But if you're eating a big soda that has nothing but the calories and no vitamins, for that calorie to convert into energy, it has to have certain B vitamins, certain minerals have to be present. So it will actually go around and kind of vacuum out of the cells of the body. One of the stress is the main culprit when it comes to creating vitamins. It's not so much the calories, it's the type of calories. And that's when a person really seriously wants to lose weight and really seriously just wants to start getting well, the best thing to do is really look at the type of calories. You can have a bowl of vegetables, over some rice, and it'll have an X number of calories, but that calorie will have nutritional value where you can have, one big drink will have 2 times the amount of calories and have 0 calories. And so if you're just going to count calories, you really have to be careful what kind of calories you're talking about. You can have one of those big drinks at the fast food places. If you're on a 1,500 calorie a day diet, you just had 1,000. So, good luck on staying alive on the 500 calories.
Very good. Very interesting. Now, the lack of these other nutrients is, I guess, what you're identifying. You said Taraskin called them hollow calories. Is that what the word was?
Right. A sugar calorie. He made a big difference between a refined carbohydrate and a complex carbohydrate. A complex carbohydrate would be like finding a potato or finding whole grain, like the whole bread. that has certain vitamins and minerals come in along with the carbohydrate. But about the turn of the century, sugar, the production of sugar became less expensive. It used to be very expensive. You could only be able to get pharmacy that. But now, you get it anywhere. It's in everything. People get sweet habits, have candy habits. All kinds of things come from the fact that you get hot calories that really have no nutritional value. And so he would make that differentiation. At the time he was doing his work, the government talked about, the food pyramid, which now they've changed a little bit, protein, carbohydrates, types of things. But they didn't differentiate refined carbohydrates, complex things. It's very important to make that when you're counting up the calories.
Now, without these nutrients that accompany your choice of sugar, I guess, or your choice of carbohydrate, you say not having them can lead to have some mental consequences, some behavior consequences. What kinds of emotional problems can be caused by drastically cutting calorie intake and, I guess, picking the wrong kind of calories to get your calories from?
Well, it's interesting because we have a society that if you're watching the news at night, they have ads for antidepressants on television all the time. And, when they did these studies, Mayo Clinic studies, they said that some of the effects that was caused by studying low-cal diets were unprovoked feelings of anxiety, persecution, hostility, nightmares, panic attacks. The other studies talk about irritability, apathetic, social, irritable, physically weak. It's really interesting because these are the kind of symptoms. When you listen to those ads on the TV, that they give the thing about how he's skipping through the forest and everything's fine, and then there's that guy that talks really fast. These are all the things he's saying because it's and so the pharmaceutical industry is basically symptomatically driven. They're coming up with drugs now. Signs of anxiety, insomnia, various things. They have drugs to treat these things. But, really we should understand that these are caused by diet, lack of supplements, good taking. And I always encourage people when they start really looking into their diet to go to the stationery store and get a little pocket diet. And every time they eat something, just write it down, like Monday. Write down what they ate. Write down what they ate. And it's an eye-opener. By the end of the week, you'll be taking vitamin supplements, starting from different parts of the store from food. Because you realize, here it's like on Monday, I had nothing but coffee until 1 o'clock. and then I was so hungry I went out to the vending. And I mean that's true. That's what people are living on. So they're also having these symptoms. They're having all these symptoms of not feeling well, and so they're looking for a quick fix. They want to keep living a crazy lifestyle, and so they end up going out and getting a bunch of medication, and that's a whole other show. I mean, what a lot of pharmaceuticals do in terms of depleting the body of nutrients is systematic as well. So it kind of comes back to really looking at what you're eating, starting to take the time and the energy it takes and take the time to prepare for it, in a manner that is sufficiently viable as opposed to, eating foods that have been sitting under a heat lamp for 7 hours.
Now, it's interesting to me because in some of the information that the PR people sent me, you mentioned some studies, and they always catch my attention. So I called to your attention. One conducted at the University of Minnesota. They take, 36, you say, fun-loving, healthy men, and they put them on 1,500 calorie diets. I don't look at 1,500 calories as a real chop in calorie intake. Nonetheless, 1,500 calories. And then after 6 months, what do they find? This is amazing to me that 100%, all these men started to act funny. Could you elaborate a bit on that particular study?
Right. Well, what was the question? I'm sorry, Doctor.
Yeah, okay, the 36 fun-loving men put on a 1,500 calorie diet at the University of Minnesota, and then after 6 months, I would have understood if a percentage of them had some issues, but all of the subjects suffered from psychological deterioration. When I see words like all or never, it captures my attention.
Yeah, that was a pretty eye-opening study, and it's so interesting that you see, being in the industry like I have been for all these, fortunate enough to know the doctors. A lot of this stuff is like, it's that's the goal, like the basics of healthful eating. But now, like I said, the mainstream is starting to look at some of these things. And, we had this big debate last year, or I can't remember when it was, about the healthcare. They called it the healthcare. We have not had healthcare debate. We have had a sick management.
Sick care, sure.
We've had the debate about what happens when you get sick, and that's what we've talked about. We haven't anything about how do we keep people from getting. My brother's son was a baby, and he was stationed at the time. He married a Japanese girl, and they go back and forth. We were having a conversation about their health, our health. And it's interesting because they have a single payer, everybody basically gets health care. However, if you're overweight, you pay more. Premium is higher. And if you smoke cigarettes, you pay more. Premium is higher. So they have it available for everywhere, but they do kind of penalize your lifestyle characteristics. In other words, we'll take care of you, but you have some personal responsibility. And I think that's really what all decisions about health really come down to is personal decisions that we all make. Like, have your listeners do that at Pocket Diary. And it, like I say, it will shock you what you actually, as opposed to what you think. And Dr. Sharatsky, when he did his big study, seminal study, on 3,600 dentists worldwide. So it was a cross-section of about 40, and that's right, 70. Anyway, and so he found that he gave them the original forms to fill out. They said what they ate. And then he gave them, study after a while, he gave them pocket diaries. And he found that pocket diaries were much more accurate. In other words, people say they ate something, but when they actually took an inventory on a daily basis, they ate a lot worse than they actually thought they were. So I think with everyone, that's the first place to start. What am I really putting in my body? And where is value?
All right, let's do this. Let's take a short break. I think you laid the groundwork pretty convincingly and easily understood by a listener that the kind of calories you take, especially if you're going to limit them, can seriously lead to all sorts of problems. Let's talk about maybe how it is if you're going to go on any kind of a calorie decrease, how to prevent these, because I'm guessing that if you take the right supplementation, you can bypass the problems. Anyway, let's see if that thought process carries us into safe harbors. We'll be back in a moment with Doug Ingoldby this morning, talking about how low-cal diets can drive you crazy and actually do make you nuts. They're physically just not well and mentally not well either. Be back in a moment.
Have you been to the doctor lately? Was fatigue top of your complete list? Did your doctor ask you what you eat? The recommended 5 servings of fruits and vegetables a day is a dream in your busy schedule. What did you learn of a product 5 years in the formulation that delivers 5 servings of fruits and minerals in just 1 ounce? That's right, it's Food the Spirit. The blessings of Food the Spirit are now formulated into a delicious whole fruit puree product rich in antioxidants and minerals. Your health is more than just a test result. It's a balance of physical, spiritual, and emotional factors. You work regularly to strengthen your faith, let Food the Spirit help cover your nutritional needs in a convenient and cost-effective ounce a day. Call 1-800-442-3793 for a special promotional offer. Food the Spirit, a blessing for your good health. Food the Spirit, 5 servings of fruits and minerals with no added sugars. That's 1-800-442-3793 for your good health. Call them now, 1-800-442-3793.
This is Dennis J. Courtney, MD. You become confused about how best to manage your health. It's no wonder. It seems that every time you turn on the television or radio, another expert has yet another suggestion for you to follow that seems to be reasonable enough, but no matter how dutifully you follow the instruction, it just doesn't quite produce the results that you are looking for. If this confusion sounds familiar to you, give us a call at the Center for Complementary Health, where we'll make some sense of the confusion based on a blending of traditional and alternative medicine that we've been perfecting over the last 7 years. We offer metabolic nutrition testing, immune system repair, natural hormone replacement therapy, chelation therapy, cutting-edge allergy correction, and a host of other safe and effective alternative therapies.
Dennis J. Courtney, MD, is located at 3075 Washington Road in McMurray. Phone 724-942-3002.
Hey, good morning, everybody. Welcome back once again to AM Impact on Your Health. Here in a Monday morning version of our show, our guest today, Mr. Doug Ingoldby, the founder of All One Supplements. Family has been deeply entrenched. 1936, there were 3 supplement companies. I wonder how many there are today. Anyway, an interesting topic, talking about how low-cal diets may make you crazy, and there's good scientific literature to back that up. Doug, you're still with us there, my friend?
Right here.
Now, the fact that you've made a very good case for the fact that it occurs, it does happen, and that book at Churaskin with Arlene really was the first to document it. This lack of nutrition and appropriate vitamins, minerals, and so forth can lead to these problems. The problems, once they occur, are they reversible? Or are they permanent? What are they?
Well, you know, your body's an amazing thing. It will bounce back in your direction. I mean, that's one of the things that when people start taking a multiple supplement like All One, they actually notice it right away. I've always found over the years they're kind of the most efficient ones that really, really poorly notice it much faster than who have already been taking a supplement, or they tend to be better than the average Joe. They'll notice the effect of a supplement, but it won't be quite as pronounced for the person who's not eating. So yes, the answer to the question is yes, you can reverse the situation, but you don't want to live like it lasts too long. There's a lot of chronic illness in our society. Parkinson's, diabetes, type of cancer can be traced to nutritional deficiencies over a long period of time. I like to, when I talk about nutrition, and if I'm noticing there's a lot of and I'll talk about terms of car. In other words, when you're driving a car, if you have good oil in there, change the oil every 3,000 or 4,000 miles. You gas up, check the dipstick, and make sure the oil doesn't get low. Or if you notice that it's kind of grungy, you change it. Then everything seems to run fine. But if you let it get low, you let it get dirty, you'll start having symptoms. You'll start hearing creaks, rattles, and squeaks. And the human body's the exact same way. You'll start getting headaches. They'll start finding out that they're falling asleep at their desk, and they take a shower, and it's kind of, when they're brushing their hair, these big lumps of hair come out in the hairbrush. These are symptoms. These are just like the squeak and the rattle in a car. It's a way of the body is telling you, look, if you don't have enough good stuff, you better get it in. And really, one of the interesting things, the hair and the fingernails are one of the most, a bellwether in terms of whether you have good because it's the furthest extent of the body. Take food in your body, that's how you get nutrition. There's very few nutrients that are actually made in the body, dependent upon the supplements you take to get them in. And if you're not getting enough, your fingernails start to split. Find that you trim your fingernails once every 2 weeks. Your hair gets split in, your hair gets kind of dull, and that's because the amount of nutrition that you're taking in to your diet or whatever is not, it's enough to keep you alive, but it's not enough to get to the stomach. And so that's one of the things that a lot of people notice when they start taking all one or multiple supplements, is that, my split ends is gone, or my hair is growing faster, or I'm clipping my fingernails 2 times a week now instead of once a month. And that's because now you're in a state of kind of uber nutrition. That is more nutrition in your system. And if you urinate, that you have kind of that bright straw color, which is that's an indication that you have an overage of B vitamins. Now, a lot of doctors said, you don't vitamins. And it's true, you do have an overage at certain times, but you can be taking the same dosage of supplements every day, and your body, and it has that bright yellow color to it. And then, your kid crashes the car, or, something, you get a pink slip at work, something serious happens in your life, and the next time you go to the bathroom, it's clear as water. And that's because the body needed the vitamins, needed that overage at that time. It's just kind of like having a bank account. If there's money, if you have a big savings account and you lose your job, you'll do okay for a while. That's on the side. And the same thing is true with nutrition. You want to have that overage and not be running under the line all the time, because that will.
Isn't that fascinating that you just described, for instance, hair and fingernails as telltales on how poorly nutrition might be going for you, but these are the 2 areas of the body where actually it's dead tissue. The hair's dead, the nails are dead. And so evidently how they decompose is a better indicator than, or the most immediate indicator you have of how vital your living tissue is. That just caught me in a way that I thought it was fascinating.
Yeah, that's an interesting way of looking at it. It also means that it's growing, so that what is there, it has arrived sooner than later. In other words, if that part of your hair, came out 6 months before, it's going to be a little dull and have again. But 6 months before, it's going to be a little strong. So that's interesting.
Yeah, that is fascinating.
Yeah.
Okay, so if somebody were to go on a diet, should they, and they supplement already, how how is it that they need to counteract and counterbalance for the obvious need for more supplementation during this time? Do you have any hints and advice to offer our listeners who might very well be considering dieting?
Right. Well, I would definitely say increase the amount of supplementation. In other words, increase the dose. And also, you want to make sure that you kind of look into what we talked about earlier. What kind of calories are you using? And Shiraxin used to tell a really cute story that I've stolen a few times. That, sugar is in everything. And we can take it nowadays at high fructose corn syrup. If you were to walk into your supermarket, start walking down the aisle, and look at the labels, you have good labeling laws in this country. Every time you use the word sugar or dextrose, high fructose corn syrup, just knock it on the floor and go to the next one. If you see it in there, just knock that one off. And when you get to the end of the aisle, there's the idle black and white and the angry store manager. If you look back, 90% of the processed food, or 95%, maybe more now, are on the floor. All your salad dressings. That's it. Certainly your cereal. I mean, if you want to really have a fun spot, go into the cereal aisle and look at the labels. Kiddie cereals they have out, cartoon characters on them. And remember, when you're looking at a label, that whatever is on the top of the label, but there is most of the product. And I have seen Dr. Courtney, and that's probably should go in local market itself. I've seen cereals where the first ingredient is sugar, and the second ingredient is corn. I mean, that means that there's more sugar riding on the amount of corn that's in it. So it's kind of really, it's one thing to say I don't eat sweets, say that I'm not going to cut back on, and all those things are good. You also want to look at the type of calories you are eating, and look for that hidden sugar.
Very good.
That plus taking a supplement like All One on a regular basis will go a long way to kind of vaccinating yourself from the fact that you're not getting vitamins. Cutting that.
All right, Doug. You got a caller coming on in here. Want to ask you a question. You mind taking him?
Go ahead, let's talk.
Come on in. You're with Mr. Doug Ingoldby. Go right ahead. What's on your mind?
Good morning, gentlemen. A very provocative show, and I see we're running out of time. You got to bring Ingoldby back. Develop this topic a little bit more, because I see a tie-in with a book written in 1995 by a Dr. Michael Gershon. Claims he's a gastroenterologist. Love that title. Anyhow, he makes
quite a title.
He wrote the book called Gut, the Second Brain. And then he describes an enteric nervous system, and this ties in with the psychodietetics. And that is, what is going on in the gut affects the brain directly, because apparently these neurotransmitters in the GI tract are the main manufacturers of the bulk of neurotransmitters that are apparently then transferred somehow to the brain. So the neurons in the brain, even though they're capable of making neurotransmitters, the bulk of them apparently are made in the GI tract. So the GI tract as an environment is the gateway to brain function. And I would like Ingoldby to expand on this, because I find this man knows what he's talking about, plus the fact I'd like to hear him develop more about, there's so much going on synthetic vitamins versus these N-chain things that are out there, which I think they're both great. And I will say that I usually feel better when I'm taking my vitamins and it's bright yellow. I seem to feel the best, and how that But I really think it's all happening, the bulk of it is happening in the gut, especially the mood part. And plus, in third world countries, they only have diets of 1,000 to 1,200 calories a day, and they're not all psycho. So apparently, the choice of calories is extremely important, that you can actually be thin and exist on, a lower amount of calories and still be mentally balanced. So,
Definitely, this is great.
By the way, how about our callers, huh? Are they sophisticated or what?
Wonderful, because, well, the thing is, too, is that, to do a whole show on absorption, I think of the book that you're referring to.
Yes, absorption.
Talks a lot about the absorption of vitamins.
Well, then there's the microbes in the gut, over 400 microbes in the mouth, and it seems like high fructose corn syrup enhances the population of the negative yeast ones, and I think that plays a major role.
I think so, that and the fact that it really doesn't do anything other than convert to storage fat. That I think it doesn't really have an energetic potential to it like a sugar calorie.
All right, let's do this. You got to promise to come back. Okay. Caller, thank you for the stimulating contribution. Okay. Doug, Palmer's in the background say it's time out of here. We'll get together and bring you on back and talk about it some more. Until then, this is Dr. Dennis Courtney with Mr. Doug Ingoldby saying so long for AM Impact on your health.
Okay. Thanks.
AM Impact on Your Health is sponsored by Dennis J. Courtney, M.D., Director of the Courtney Medical Group, located at 3075 Washington Road in McMurray, Pennsylvania. For more information or to make an appointment, call 724-942-3002. That's 724-942-3002 for Dennis J. Courtney, M.D.
Here's what's happening from KHB. Attend the Dads Matter free seminar to learn more about child custody, getting a better job, defeating